speaking of what the libs are trying to do right now, there are some who recognize that Democrats are going to need a radically different strategy in the midterms, a radically different strategy in the next election. Here is, for example, Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren. She's telling everybody you got to be worried unless the Democrats deliver on their promises.
There is so much we can do, and if we do it over the next 200 days, we're going to be in fine shape. This is what democracy is about. Take it to the people what we've done, but we need to get the work done.
And if you don't, will you lose control of Congress?
Yeah, I think we're going to be in real trouble. If we don't get up and deliver, then I believe that Democrats are going to lose. Democrats win when they when they work on behalf of working people. And we can't just rest on what we've already done. We need to be fighting going forward.
All right. So we get the idea. Clay, she's living in a fantasy land. There's nothing they're going to deliver on for people going forward. And I think the best evidence of this that we have is the big dump right now. You can see it. Instead of doing things that are better for the American people, CNN exclusive. I'm going to note, not a CNN Plus exclusive.
Womp,
yes. Womp. Mark Meadows, 2,319 text messages of Trump's Trump's inner circle communications before and after January 6th. Their plan to hold as many seats in the Senate and the House as they can, Clay, is to just pound the drum on January 6th as loud as they can. That's the whole plan.
Well, and it certainly doesn't work in the midterms because Trump is not going to be on the ballot. And that clip you just played of Elizabeth Warren, to me, is indicative of what I think might be the actual Democrat plan, but not because she's saying that they're going to improve their status. I think what Democrats may end up doing, and I hope they're not going to be able to do it because of Kyrsten Sinema, because of Joe Manchin, and other Democrat senators who are in toss-up states that are worried about re-election. But my concern is that they're just going to try to ram through a ton of different left-wing policies, not because they're necessarily trying to help their overall status in the midterms, but because they recognize that they're going to lose the House. They may well lose the Senate, and then they won't be able to pass anything for 2 years, the final 2 years of the Biden administration. And so they are going to, and I think on some level, Buck, they're still terrified of Trump and the looming threat that he, in their mind, brings to bear in 2024. And so they keep hoping that somehow the American public is going to care about January 6th. Now, on these text messages, I think there's a certain salacious interest, Buck, where it's like, oh, I wonder what somebody was saying on their private phone in their text messages with all of these other political figures. But I don't know that there's very much substance there. I think if there were some sort of massive issue, they would have already used it to their advantage.
Can we just be very clear about what is happening here, though, everybody? They have seized now it is technically legal because Congress does have these subpoena powers. It is not ethical. This is a political smear. But notice that they're willing to use this power in this way to seize private citizens' phone records, I mean, you could say, oh, but he's the chief of staff. Yeah, but everybody who's communicated with him, they've got this list up on CNN, Giuliani, Sean Hannity, friends of ours from the network at Fox, from here. They've got all these different names, Republican Party leaders, Jim Jordan of Ohio, Mo Brooks of Alabama, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're just trying to embarrass people. There's no criminality here. They're pretending they think the insurrection might have had a criminal nexus of some kind. The people that broke the law that day were people who were there and, weren't supposed to be, which is kind of is that really a big deal? But the people that attacked cops, you can't do that. People that broke property or destroyed property, you can't do that. I would note that they're being treated much more harshly than those who were trying to destroy public property and the statues and all the leftist riots that were going on all summer. I've never forgotten that. I will not forget that. But Clay, this is just dirty, bare-knuckle politics. I'm going to get your text messages and blast them out to CNN to try to embarrass people who are important to the right. That's all this is.
Also, according to Twitter's own policies, they shouldn't allow this to be covered on Twitter, right? Because it's leaked information that is not otherwise public, right? So somebody on the January 6th committee, a Democrat operative, a Democrat assistant to a Republican, a Democrat, leaked this all to CNN. And the goal is to embarrass Republicans who were doing what? Texting with the sitting chief of staff? I mean, is it really a surprise that the chief of staff in the White House would have all of these texts, would have received them? I mean, if Ron Klain, who, by the way, is the default president of the United States right now, if Ron Klain's text messages were all leaked to the American public, guess who he'd be texting with primarily? Democratic leaders about a wide variety of different subjects. So the goal here is embarrassment, humiliation, and the continued desperate ploy to make January 6th relevant in the midterm.
And here's the other part of this that's a problem. For the Democrat base, because they live in a fantasy land, unfortunately, that is propped up by the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, and some other outlets and sites that are owned by billionaires. The only billionaire who's bad when it comes to owning things, you're going to find out, is Elon Musk. It used to be the Koch brothers were behind everything that lives in like. Now they're going to say Elon Musk, billionaires. This same Democrat Party that's telling everybody about how horrific it is that there were those who didn't believe the election results after the 2020 election, they didn't believe and tried to undo and use the Department of Justice and the intelligence community the 2016 election results. They lied endlessly about Donald Trump and Russia collusion. So for a lot of folks, just like, I don't want to hear it, man. I don't really, I don't really care. They can whine about the January 6th insurrection all day. It was a riot. The left loves all the other riots. And the people in this country who are actually persuadable are saying, yeah, how's the economy? What's inflation like? What's the border like? What is the benefit of having rapidly deteriorating Biden allegedly calling the shots, or the very unimpressive people around him calling the shots? That's what they're actually going to vote on.